Alright, we are on Loreley. We were seeing what is the lowest level I can get through the Elite Four using a Primeape. So look at Primeape real quick. It has great attack and great speed, and everything else is not doing too hot. So in this run, I'm going to need to be able to heal myself. I'm going to need to be able to take out other Pokemon without being hit first. Things like that are going into my strategy and mindset for this run. Now, on Loreley, Dugong is going to do the same old I'm sleeping all the time because it thinks that rest is super effective, in which it is a psychic move. It does no damage. So good and bad again. We're going to get some free setup and stuff, but also we have to knock it out in 3 turns. Otherwise, we don't knock it out. The Cloyster was also a bit of a challenge. Because if it were to use Clamp, it does quite a bit because our special is not very good. But once Slowbro comes out, we get a little break here because Slowbro is just going to be stuck using Amnesia because it thinks that Amnesia is super effective against me, which it would be if it did any damage. But it doesn't, and Gen 1 is just broken, so that is what we have. So we go ahead and we rest up, get back to full health for the second half of this battle. We are also going to mimic Amnesia. 1, to counteract the Slowbro's Amnesia, and 2, just to raise our special as a whole. And Gen 1 special is just 1 stat, so it's going to make our move Thunderbolt a little bit stronger, and then it's also going to help us defend against Water Gun, Ice Punch, Surf, and Blizzard, or Hydro Pump and Blizzard. Fun fact about Primeape is that in its Pokedex it is called a pig monkey because it has a pig nose, but it's a monkey. So do with that as you will. Another fun fact about monkeys is that the howler monkey can be heard up to 3 miles away. So that's kind of cool. Now, we got 1 more until this Slowbro is down. Unfortunately, it used Amnesia a whole bunch, so it does take a little bit for us to take it down, but not such a big deal. And then we have the Jinx. Jinx is not free by any means. Even though Jinx's defense is very bad, it still has knocked us out in a fair amount of runs here. We don't want to see a freeze. We don't want to see anything like that. At this point, Thrash is probably worse than Ice Punch. But we're only level 36, so we're looking pretty good. We're up against the Lapras. We just need to not get critical hit at this point, and we get a Confuse Ray, which is also good because we're going to get through, and we're going to knock out the Lapras. There we go. Drop an emoji, comment, follow, like. Thank you guys. All right, Bruno is up next, and Bruno was not a cakewalk. This is, I think, 2 or 3 in a row that Bruno has beaten us in a couple different battles. What is helpful is when we can get through Loreley at a lower level. Then we're not over-leveled for Bruno or anything like that, but we are going to go ahead and do the old classic Mimic Harden. For those of you that are new, Harden's going to do a couple things for us. 1, it's going to raise our defense, which is good for Bruno because he only has 1 Pokemon that knows special move. It's also going to give us a little badge boost. Badge boost is every time your stats are modified, all your other stats go up by about 12.5%, and it does stack each time. So my stats are going to go up 12.5% 6 times, which is pretty cool. And then I'm going to go ahead and use Dig. Onyx got enough X defense and hardens off to where Dig is not free by any means, but if we were to get a critical hit or something, that would be cool. But anyway, Onyx can't do a whole lot to us, so we're just going to keep digging away. In Gen 1, Dig has 100 power, or whatever you want to call it, as opposed to, I think it's either 80 or 60 in the newer generation. So Dig is a pretty good move, and there's just overall less shenanigans and stuff like that as far as move go in Gen 1, so being gone for a turn isn't as detrimental as it is in the future games. Another monkey fun fact, I believe it is the Pygmy Marmoset monkey is the smallest monkey. So that is also cool. Not Pokemon related, but that's just monkeys in general. And then at this point, we're just using Dig, taking care of Bruno's team. Since Primeape is a monkey pig Pokemon, a pig fun fact would be that pigs don't sweat. I think that's why they roll around in mud all the time. It's because they don't sweat. Also, they're smarter than dogs, allegedly, or so I'm told. And my sources, trust me, bro. So this Onyx is a little bit easier, or should be a little bit easier, because we're able to rest up on it and finally use Submission. In Gen 1, Fighting and Rock type got the Shaft because their best move is Submission, and it's 80% accurate with 80 base power and does recoil damage. You know, so over there, Psychic gets to do, 90, Surf does like 95, then Ice, you've got Ice Beam and Blizzard, but for some reason, Fighting, you get Seismic Toss and Submission. Hitmonlee has High Jump Kick, but, that's one Pokemon. And if you miss, it does damage to you. And then Rock type just has awful accuracy as well. So I don't know what was going on with Fighting and Rock type. I feel like they should all have had a better moveset than they do. But anyway, that's neither here nor there, because we're going to go ahead and dig on the Machamp. It does very little. Very, very little. But also the Machamp can't do a whole lot to us. So we're just going to keep pushing through. It used a Leer on me, so I used a Harden. The reason for is that getting that badge boost, which was sweet. It uses Submission, but as long as it doesn't get a critical hit, we are good to go. And there we go. We knock out Bruno. Thank you. Alright, we're on Agatha. We're seeing what's the lowest level we can beat Pokemon Red and Blue with the Primeape. So far, so good, coming in at level 38. What is nice about Primeape is it is fast. One of the things that going up against Agatha is going before her Pokemon limits the amount of shenanigans that she can do to us. So anything we can do to move faster than her Pokemon is great. We also have Dig, which, as I talked about in the Bruno run, it has 100 base power, which is super good. And then we go ahead and we teach Thunder to Primeape because we're going to need it against the Gyarados for Lance anyway. And it does good against the Golbat, which is the one poison type we can't hit because it's part flying. Other than that, we're just going to go ahead and dig away. There are no special abilities in Gen 1, so none of these ghosts have Levitate, so we can hit them with ground type moves, which having the Levitate ability in later generations really made the whole Ghastly to Gengar line much better. Out comes Arbok, and Arbok can't do a whole lot to us, so we're going to go ahead and use Rest to go to sleep. It did drop our defense, which we don't love, but that's okay. And then it used Screech again, so not totally great, but the only main threat is Gengar, and its damaging move is Nightshade, so the defense drops aren't the end of the world. It's more against the Arbok. We are worried about them. We go ahead and use Dig. For some reason, she's playing musical chairs with her Pokemon. I'm not going to question a good thing, so we just kind of roll with it. We're getting a bunch of free hits off. Super nice to see. And then we're going to go ahead and take out Agatha right there. So that was the Agatha lottery. Drop an emoji. Alright, we are up against a Dragon Trainer with our Pig Monkey. We have Thunder, which we're going to use right away on the Gyarados to get some nice damage on it. It is not going to one-hit KO because we are only level 42, but then we get a sweet miss on the Hydro Pump. That is basically the battle, is Gyarados and Aerodactyl, because just like Lorelee, Lance suffers from good AI, so there's not a whole lot that it can do to us. Now you might think, Hyper Focus Info, why did you not mimic Agility to get extra speed for the Aerodactyl and some badge boost glitch? If all you have to do is beat the Aerodactyl after this, why would you get Hyper Beam? Well, to answer that is once I finally got past the Aerodactyl, the Dragonite is so bulky, even though it can't do anything to us, that I ended up running out of power points, which was not good. So here we are, and it uses Barrier, which is not good for Struggle, because in Gen 1, Struggle is a normal physical attacking move, where in the later generations, it is just a neutral move. So once we get everything we need, we're just going to start using Dig on the Dragonairs. We're going to save Thunder for the Aerodactyl and Dragonite because Dig will not hit them. So basically we're just going to spam Dig a whole bunch here. So while I'm digging away, a fun fact about Primeape, the Pokemon, is that when it gets angry, its blood starts to just go crazy. But it has super strong veins, so it can handle it. So even when its heart is pumping, it is not hurting itself in any way. Also, it is unclear if it is born with metal shackles around its feet and hands, or if they find metal shackles and put them on. I'm not too sure. But either way, that's interesting. So here we are. I could use Rest, but there's really no point because there's nothing that the Dragonite can do. It's going to use Barrier or Agility because those are Psychic type moves. It thinks that it's super effective, which it's not. It just does nothing, but it does raise its defense. So I go ahead and I go for the Hyper Beams early before it has max defense. And then after that, I will start to use my special moves. Kind of a pain because Lance can heal his Pokemon, which we don't love to see, but now you can kind of see why I ran out of power points, is because I do so little damage and Lance likes to heal. So we're looking pretty good. I mean, level 43 for the Elite Four with one Pokemon. I mean, that is honestly pretty impressive so far. Our little pig monkey is doing work. We go ahead and we're going for Thunder. We're hoping for a critical hit here that would bypass all the barriers, and we get it. So that takes care of Lance. Pig monkey beats dragon. Confirmed. Alright, this is the final battle. Unfortunately, I want you to take note of my level. I could not get past the Pidgeot and the Alakazam at any lower level. The reason being is Pidgeot is flying, super effective against a fighting type. Alakazam is psychic, super effective against a fighting type. I also needed to be able to outspeed the Alakazam. Only when I started doing that was I starting to see any success in these runs. I tried a bunch of times, let me tell you, it just wasn't working, but I'd get a nice run where I get through Pidgeot with full health. Since I'm faster than the Alakazam, on its next turn that it could attack me, it used Barrier, and since I do enough damage, the Barrier didn't matter, so we were good to go. Finally, I get to Rhydon with full health. I did get here before with less health, and it didn't quite work out. So I went ahead and I mimicked Horn Drill, because that's the only way I could think of to take care of the Executor and the Blastoise. And then I go ahead and I use Dig. I get a nice critical hit there. Wasn't too big of a deal, but if Rhydon gets off too many Leers or Tail Whip, it is not a good situation to be in, because RK9 can use Takedown, or the Executor has Stomp and Barrage, which we don't want our defense lowered for. And it's really not worth it for the badge boost. RK9 did get a pretty beastly takedown there, but that is okay. We're still doing our best. And then out comes the Executor. We just don't want to be put to sleep is the main thing. So I go ahead and I go for Horn Drill, because Dig and Thunder, they're just not going to do anything. So even though we're missing a whole bunch, finally we hit the Horn Drill. Super sweet. Take out the Executor. Then all we have left is the Blastoise. Now a Blizzard or a Hydro Pump would absolutely take me out. I bet even a Skull Bash would take me out. But for some reason, it just keeps going for withdrawal. So we keep getting opportunities for success, and we get it. And finally, we beat Blue with the Primeape, level 54. Don't forget to follow and comment and like.